He's tunneling his vision.
Just completely shutting down his defenses.
Yeah, by collapsing his field of view to just the swing on his screen, he is essentially blinding himself to 95% of his physical surrounding.
He assumes the swing is the only threat, simply because it's the only anomaly he can see. And because his visual focus is entirely kidnapped by that screen, the environment violently exploits his vulnerability.
Yes.
As he zoomed in on the swing, staring at his phone, he hears a child's laughter behind him. He spins around, but the text tells us no one was there.
This is the pinnacle of the text's psychological manipulation. The author does something brilliant here. They completely flip your senses.
How do you mean?
Well, up to this point, the narrative tension has been entirely visual and distant.
Right.
We have a visual anomaly, a swing happening 50 or 100 feet away. You are straining your eyes to understand it.
It's safely over there, in the distance.
Right. But then the author pivots. The narrative violently shifts from the visual to the auditory.
Oh, wow.
And more importantly, it shifts from distant to intimately close. A child's laughter placed directly behind him.
Right in his ear.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, you can see how the author is forcing the protagonist, and you, the listener, to abruptly abandon the primary threat you've been focused on.
Yeah, to face a secondary, unseen threat in your absolute blind spot.
Exactly. It entirely resets the tension scale from a low-grade cerebral dread to immediate spiking panic.
It's a magic trick. It is a literal stage magician's sleight of hand.
It really is.
The moving swing was just the magician's waving left hand. It was this flashy, hypnotic movement designed to draw all of our attention, all of our focus, and all of our camera lenses. Meanwhile, the real trick, the laughter, was being quietly set up right behind his back in the dark.
The swing was the misdirection, absolutely. And the nature of the sound itself is crucial.
A child's laughter.
Yeah, a child's laughter. In a deserted park at night, that sound is inherently contradictory. During the day, it's a signal of safety and play.
But at night...
At night, in isolation, it weaponizes innocence.
Ah, that's so creepy.
Right. The brain recognizes the sound as human, but the context screams that it shouldn't be there, creating massive cognitive friction.
But think about his physical reaction, because the text specifically says he spun around. If you're standing in the pitch black, isn't spinning around blindly the most vulnerable physical action a person can take?
Oh, 100%.
You instantly throw yourself off balance, you completely lose your spatial awareness, and for a split second, you have zero idea what is in front of you or behind you.
It is the ultimate loss of physical and mental control.
Yeah.
The phone gave him the illusion of control, and the laughter shattered it instantly.
Right.
When you spin around rapidly in a panic, you are disrupting your vestibular system.
The inner ear stuff.
Exactly. The fluid in your inner ear sloshes, which completely throws off your physical balance.
Wow.
Your visual cortex is trying to process a blur of dark shapes, and your brain is frantically attempting to stitch together a brand new map of your surroundings while operating on pure adrenaline.
So you go from being a passive intellectual observer behind a camera to an actively disoriented prey animal.
Yes. And the terror is compounded by the payoff. No one was there.
The ultimate empty reveal. So he's dizzy, his heart is pounding out of his chest, adrenaline is flooding his system, and there is no laughing child behind him.
The threat is invisible again.
He looks back at the swing, and the deep dive moves to the final chilling turn of the excerpt. The text delivers its final blow. It says it had stopped completely.
And this is where the story proves its mastery of microtension. It resolves its built-up dread, not with an explosion of action, not with a monster jumping out of the bushes,
No.
but with an impossible, suffocating stillness.
So what does this all mean? Why is the stillness worse than a monster? I noticed the pacing of those final sentences really changes.
How so?
They become incredibly short, blunt, absolute. No one was there, period. It had stopped completely, period. I feel like this brevity mimics a physical sensation. It mimics that dropping stomach we talked about at the very beginning.
Oh, absolutely.
Or the sensation of involuntarily holding your breath. You read those short sentences and your lungs just lock up.
The syntax deliberately mirrors the sudden absence of momentum. The true horror of this ending isn't the confirmed presence of a ghost or a physical threat.
Right.
It is the sudden, physics-defying absence of movement. The universe has broken its rules again, but this time in reverse.
Right, because earlier we had movement with no energy source. Now we have the sudden destruction of kinetic energy.
Exactly.
But let me challenge you on this. Is this sudden dead stop scarier because it implies that whatever phantom thing was on the swing is now gone and roaming around the park? Or is it scarier because it implies that the entity is still right there and it knows it is being watched?
Oh, it is undoubtedly the latter. And it all comes back to intention.
Intention.
Think about the mechanics of the object. If the swing slowly came to a halt, swinging less and less over a minute or two.
Yeah, that would imply the entity had hopped off and walked away.
Right. The kinetic energy would naturally dissipate and the threat would be dispersed.
Yeah.
But for it to stop completely and instantly, it implies agency. It implies intention. It means the invisible force hasn't left. It has frozen. It is acknowledging the protagonist.
By stopping, it is essentially communicating with him.
It's saying, I know you're looking at me.
That is deeply unsettling. It's acknowledging the observer. The stillness is a threat in itself.
Yes. The story takes you on a complete cycle of sensory exploitation.
Yeah.
You start in a familiar but altered setting. You are biologically isolated. You try to use technology to distance yourself from a visual anomaly, but you end up blinding your peripheral defenses.
Right.
Your focus is exploited by an auditory jump scare in your absolute blind spot, throwing your vestibular system into chaos.
And when you finally look back to your original anchor point, the swing,
The rules of physics have been rewritten again just to tell you that you are no longer the one watching. You are the one being watched.
it is so wildly effective. As we synthesize this journey, we want to remind you, the listener, how this tiny 5-sentence excerpt perfectly executes the mechanics of suspense.
It really does.
It establishes a setting you think you understand, but makes it liminal. It isolates the subject. It removes rational explanations like the wind, forcing cognitive dissonance. It manipulates our modern reliance on technology to create a visual tunnel. And finally, it utilizes sensory misdirection and sudden, impossible stillness to completely override your nervous system.
This raises an important question for you to take into your own life because these mechanics aren't just limited to microfiction.
No, definitely not.
You can look for these exact same tools of tension in the movies you watch, the thriller novels you read, or even in how suspenseful stories are told by your friends in daily life.
Yeah, notice when a director forces a character to look through a camera lens, restricting their field of view.
Notice when the sound design shifts from far in front of you to directly behind your ear.
Once you see the structural architecture of tension, how it relies on manipulating biology and physics, you realize how mathematically precise fear can be.
It is a formula, but it works every single time.
It really does. And before we go, I want to leave you with one final, incredibly chilling thought to mull over today on your own.
Okay.
Think about this based purely on the text and what we know about the real world. A heavy playground swing is essentially a pendulum.
Right.
According to the laws of momentum, a swinging pendulum slows down gradually. The arc gets smaller and smaller until friction and air resistance finally bring it to a rest.
Mm-hmm.
But the text says that when he looked back, it had stopped completely. Instantly.
Yeah.
For a heavy metal chain and seat to stop completely while his back was turned for just a second, it means a massive physical force had to actively arrest its momentum.
Oh, wow.
It's not just the swing is suddenly empty, it's that whatever was pushing it must now be gripping those chains tightly, frozen in place, holding a heavy moving object dead still and staring right back at him.
The energy didn't dissipate. It was caught.
It was caught. So the next time you're walking down the stairs in the dark and your foot reaches for a step that isn't there, just remember that sudden, silent jolt. That's the feeling of the universe breaking its own rules. And sometimes you really don't want to know what caught the swing.